think about the excitement heading into a week from Sunday, Mark, and it's almost 9 days to the minute when that game's going to kick off.
Oh, my gosh, that's right. 3:30, right?
Yeah. And time goes fast, but time also goes slowly as you get ready for that game.
I'm going to be nervous.
Yeah.
Super Bowl, the start of the Super Bowl is like a super nerve-wracking thing. And I think about the quarterback matchup here because Patrick is like, this is what I do the second Sunday in February.
Right.
And Brock is going to be like, wow, I'm in the Super Bowl. I think he can handle it. That's what pro athletes do.
Yeah.
But I worry in the first quarter about, kind of a wobbly mistake, a feeling each other out mistake on the 49ers side.
Yeah, I don't worry about that. And maybe it's because of what you shared either late last night or early this morning. I saw it this morning, but the Connor Letourneau article from the Chronicle when he goes back to Arizona and interviews his former coach and his former teacher and his high school buddy and all the rest of the community out there 40 miles southeast of Phoenix. And you get the sense that this kid is special, and he's been this way for a long time. So as much as, yes, it's the Super Bowl and there will be some adrenaline, I think that Brock Purdy, the person that this article laid him out to be and the person that we've gotten to know, I think he's cut out to tune out all the noise and the hype more than anybody else.
You're probably right. I mean, look at what he has achieved. He's here.
Right.
It's not like last week wasn't nerve-wracking. It's not like being down 24-7 in your own building in the NFC Championship isn't nerve-wracking. And he handled it fantastically. He's gotten better in the second halves of these football games. By the way, that's the other thing that's sort of like I feel like is a slap in the face to Kyle Shanahan in that a lot of people are getting ready for this game and detail, oh boy, he's going to be conservative at the wrong time. And I'm sitting here after 2 football games of going, Kyle just did what a lot of you have been saying for years he can't do. He just did it. He just did it. Back-to-back games in the playoffs, trailing in the second half. And here he comes for victory. This is supposedly the bugaboo. And so whenever there's been that line of people being like, yeah, Kyle Shanahan can call a play, but when he gets down, what about that? Well, what about that? What about that? Where's the mea culpa on that one? Because that's 2 playoff games in a row where they shook off second half deficits.
Yeah, and against the Packers, they were down with 6 minutes left. Mm-hmm. And Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan making the play calls and Brock Purdy making the plays down the field, get the touchdown and win the game. And then last weekend, down by 17 at the half. And not only down by 17, but down by 17 and looking terrible.
Totally.
And looking like, man, you were just about one series away from that thing ending. And even though you had a very Kyle Shanahan-like opening drive in the second half and you go down the field, it's a run-pass mix, you had to settle for 3. So even though Shanahan looked like he was starting to heat it up and Brock looked better and everyone looked better, you stalled out.
That was not a good moment. That was not like, okay, cool, we got points on the board. That was terrible.
Yeah.
That felt awful. And Kyle admitted that it felt awful in the moment. It was like, we'll take the 3 because we have to, but this is not good.
Right.
That's not going to go well for us.
No, and it wasn't until the Lions go for it and don't get it on 4th down. Then you go down and you score again, and then you kind of feel like, okay.
Now we're in the game.
Right.
And then one play later, you're like, oh, my gosh, we're going to tie the game.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it happened quick.
But to your point, Kyle and company did something that everybody had said they can't do. And we said it for good reason because they hadn't really done it before. And we've talked to many experts who say, this team, this system is built to lead, run, and win in that fashion. This team is not built to do what they did last Sunday.
Clayton in the Yoon is next up here on Willard and Dibs. Hey, Clayton, what's up?
Hey, guys, how you doing? Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, man.
I listen to you guys every day. Too, definitely on that 2 slot's my favorite slot because that's when I'm coming home. But, all these Niners fans just don't remember what it was like with Singletary and back when we were not very good. But, I'd rather be a team that's in the hunt every single year than be like the Jets where we fall flat on our face every single season. So, I think Niners fans just got to be happy with what we got. I think we got a great chance this season, and Christian McCaffrey's about to run all over that Chiefs defense this season.
Hey, Clayton, maybe you can answer a question we were tossing around about an hour ago. Do you think that the 49ers are better this year or 4 years ago?
I think their offense is better this year, but I think their defense is a little bit worse. But I think they have a better chance with the offense carrying because they actually got a quarterback who's willing to take the shots and actually can scramble and actually is a dual threat. Then you got Christian McCaffrey. Like, he's basically a cheat code in cleats.
So are you more or less confident this time around?
I'm more confident this time around as a fan, but I definitely Mahomes has his. You got to give him his respect because he is Showtime Mahomes. Like,
no
that
doubt.
Kid is just incredibly good.
No doubt. Clayton, thank you very much. I mean, the other thing that I think is going on as far as the dynamic, like you brought this up, we were talking about maybe the 49er fan who thinks this year's team overall, the net is that they're better, but they're feeling less confident is kind of a PTSD thing because of 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It's also the fact, though, that team, flawed though it may be, and many, many 49er fans lacked confidence in Jimmy Garoppolo. I wasn't necessarily one of them, but Jimmy was a different experience than Brock Purdy. But go back to that team, dude, they steamrolled people in the playoffs. Like, they blew the Packers off the field. And the Vikings the week before, 27-10 was the final. Didn't feel like a blowout, but it felt under control the whole time. And so it's just that. It's also that. Like, that 49er team swaggered into its game against the Chiefs. The Chiefs also at that point were not quite the Chiefs yet. Like, they didn't have as much shine on them. So I think that has a lot to do with it. I think we look at this roster and go, this is a better roster. But in the playoffs, they're not performing nearly as well as that team did.
Right. And does it really matter when it comes down to one game? We'll see, because that team, to your point, came in with a lot more momentum, if there is such a thing with a 2-week break in between games. They were favored by 7 over Minnesota. They covered. They won by 17. This year, the Niners were favored by 10 over Green Bay, 9.5-10, and had to fight to even win the game. The Packers were 7-point dogs against the Niners 4 years ago, and the Niners were up 27-0 at the half.
Yep.
And they put that thing in cruise control. This time you were 7-point favorites over the Lions, and you were down by 17 at the half. So definitely a different feeling as far as the playoff journey going in, but it doesn't mean that with a 2-week break, any of that matters. I think momentum matters less in the Super Bowl than in any other game at all.
I agree with that. It does feel sort of like a whole new start.
It's like a bowl game.
The whole thing, yeah.
I mean, it is a bowl game.
It is a bowl game.
You know what I mean? Like a college bowl game where
it's a bowl game, except for there are people there.
And it's super. It's a super kind of game.
And it's not brought to you by FedEx or whatever. I hope they never do that with the Super Bowl. They're going to do that, aren't they? One of these days. It's going to be like the Applebee's Bowl.
Eventually.
Or something like that.
If the price is right. I never thought they would do that with the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all. But now even the Rose Bowl has a sponsor.
College football sold everything.
Of course.
Including its soul.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you saw the news of today. 10 seconds on this. SEC and the Big Ten, all the dignitaries are getting together for a meeting. Want to know what they're discussing? I can tell you. They won't say it this way. The downfall of the NCAA. Those two conferences are like, we'll take it from here. Why are we paying you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I'll take 10 seconds on this. It's kind of where the PGA Tour is headed. Because,
good point.
You know, pretty soon these players, the defectors to live and the other players who are stuck on tour, they're going to say, we'll just have our own tournaments. Yep. What do we need you for?